a struggling African-American single mother, a legendary Hollywood icon, and one remarkable act of kindness that would change everything. When Sarah, a hard-working waitress barely making ends meet, finds herself serving Clint Eastwood at her small highway diner, she has no idea her world is about to turn upside down. More than just a monetary gift, his unexpected gesture carries a profound lesson about faith, hope, and the transformative power of compassion. This heartwarming story reminds us that sometimes miracles do happen, and a single act of kindness can ripple through generations. If this story touches your heart, please don't forget to subscribe and share. Together, we can spread more inspiring stories of hope, kindness, and the extraordinary moments that remind us of our shared humanity. Hit that notification bell to never miss our weekly dose of inspiration that proves goodness still exists in this world. The bell above the diner's door chimed softly, piercing through the familiar hum of the evening rush. Sarah glanced at the clock mounted on the worn wall. 6:45 p.m. Her feet ached after standing for nearly 10 hours, but she couldn't rest. Not yet. "Mommy, I'm hungry." Marcus's small voice called from the corner booth where he sat surrounded by homework. Since his kindergarten closed during the pandemic, Sarah had no choice but to bring her 6-year-old son to work. Another reminder of how life had changed since Tom's sacrifice in the line of duty 2 years ago. "Just a little longer, baby." Sarah managed a gentle smile, masking the exhaustion that seemed to seep into her very bones. Every tip, every paycheck was carefully calculated. Rent, utilities, Marcus's growing list of school supplies. The weight of being both mother and father pressed heavily on her shoulders. The familiar chime rang again. Sarah looked up, and her heart nearly stopped. There, in a simple button-down shirt and worn jeans, stood Clint Eastwood. Her hands trembled slightly as memories flooded back. Evenings spent watching westerns with her father, his warm voice explaining the importance of dignity over dollars. "Black coffee and a burger? No onions?" His deep, gentle voice broke through her reverie. Sarah scribbled the order, willing her hand to stay steady, though her pulse raced beneath her calm exterior. "Marcus, honey, would you like to see what kind of movies your grandpa used to love?" Sarah called softly to her son. The boy looked up from his math workbook, his eyes widening with recognition. "Your boy seems sharp." Clint's unexpected comment made Sarah turn. "Mathematics, isn't it?" "Yes, Marcus dreams of becoming an engineer, like his grandfather." Pride momentarily overshadowed her exhaustion. "And you?" Those piercing eyes seemed to look straight into her soul. "What dreams did you have to put aside?" Sarah hesitated. I wanted to be an accountant, but that seems impossible now." "Nothing's impossible," Clint replied softly, "if you're willing to take a chance on yourself." When Sarah returned to clear his table, she found a $100 tip and an envelope. Inside was a check for $50,000 and a note that would change everything. "Dear Sarah, 5 years ago, I lost my only daughter, a single mother as resilient and determined as you. Tonight, seeing you with your son, I saw her spirit living on. This isn't charity. It's an investment in your dreams and Marcus's future. Use it wisely. Sometimes life gives us unexpected chances. The real question is whether we're brave enough to take them. Clint." Sarah's hands shook as she read the words, tears blurring her vision. But this was only the beginning of a journey that would teach her about faith, courage, and the ripple effect of kindness. A journey that would prove it's never too late to chase your dreams, and sometimes Angels appear in the most unexpected forms, for in this small highway diner, on an ordinary evening, an extraordinary story of hope and transformation was just beginning to unfold. The morning after Clint's visit dawned with a surreal quality. Sarah sat at her small kitchen table, the check and letter spread before her, still hardly daring to believe. Marcus slept peacefully in the next room, unaware that their lives were about to change forever. But with blessing often comes challenge. "She probably made it all up," whispered Rachel, a fellow waitress, loud enough for Sarah to hear. "I mean, Clint Eastwood, in our diner." The whispers grew, spreading through the small diner like wildfire. Some questioned the check's authenticity. Others suggested more sinister implications. Each word stung, but Sarah held her head high, just as her father had taught her. Jane, the diner's manager, who had known Sarah since her first day, stood firmly by her side. "I was here that night," she declared, silencing the gossip with her quiet authority. "I saw him. And I saw something else too. I saw hope being passed from one healing heart to another." But the real challenge wasn't the gossip. It was deciding what to do with this unexpected gift. Sarah spent nights poring over calculations, weighing options, fighting her own doubts. "Maybe we should just save it all," she whispered to Marcus's sleeping form one night. "The world's so uncertain." But then she remembered Clint's words. "Sometimes life gives us unexpected chances." With trembling hands, but resolute heart, Sarah made her decision. $20,000 would go toward clearing their debts and creating an education fund for Marcus. Another $20,000 would finance her accounting degree at the community college. And the remaining $10,000, that would become the seed for something even more meaningful. "The Stepping Stone Foundation," Sarah explained to Jane, her eyes shining. "A small fund to help other single parents chase their dreams, because kindness should never end with just one person." The changes came gradually, but steadily. Sarah reduced her shifts to weekends, throwing herself into her studies with the same determination she'd shown as a waitress. Marcus moved to a better school with a partial scholarship, his eyes lighting up with each new challenge. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were nights when Sarah questioned everything, drowning in accounting formulas while missing Marcus's bedtime story, moments when the pressure seemed overwhelming. Yet for every moment of doubt, there was a reminder of why she'd taken this chance. Like when Marcus proudly announced to his class that his mom was going to college, or when the first recipient of the Stepping Stone Foundation, a single father of two, called in tears after receiving help with his nursing school tuition. Word of Sarah's story spread beyond the diner's walls, reaching local news, inspiring others. But she never forgot where it all began, with an act of kindness from someone who saw past appearances to recognize a fighting spirit. 1 year turned into 2. The diner remained part of their lives, but now as a reminder rather than a lifeline. Sarah's accounting textbooks gradually replaced the waitress uniform. Marcus's drawings of mom at college covered their refrigerator. The whispers changed too, from skepticism to admiration. The same people who had doubted her now sought her advice, her story becoming a beacon of hope for others struggling to believe in second chances. And in her darkest moments, when doubt crept in, Sarah would remember that evening in the diner, remembering that sometimes miracles don't just happen. They're created by those brave enough to believe in them. 2 years passed like a whispered prayer, and now Sarah stood before the mirror in her graduation gown, hardly recognizing the woman who looked back at her. Today was her college graduation, a day she'd once thought impossible. "Mom, you look like a superhero." Marcus, now 8 and growing too fast, appeared in the doorway wearing his first suit, a gift from Jane for this special occasion. "A superhero?" Sarah laughed, adjusting her cap. "I'm just a mom who got very lucky." "No," came Jane's voice from behind them. "You're a woman who dared to believe. There's nothing lucky about that." The community college auditorium buzzed with excitement. Families chattering, cameras flashing, dreams taking flight. Sarah sat among her fellow graduates, her heart racing as she searched the crowd for Marcus's face. And then she saw him. In the back row, partially hidden by shadow but unmistakable, sat Clint Eastwood. Their eyes met across the distance, and he gave her that same quiet nod from 2 years ago, a gesture that had once changed everything. Sarah's hands trembled as she accepted her diploma. "Summa cum laude," the dean announced, his voice carrying across the hushed auditorium. In that moment, she wasn't just walking across a stage. She was crossing a bridge between what was and what could be. After the ceremony, Marcus ran to her, nearly tackling her with his hug. "You did it, Mom. You really did it." "We did it, baby," Sarah whispered, holding him tight. "We did it together." "Congratulations," came that familiar deep voice. Sarah turned to find Clint standing there, his eyes twinkling with pride. "Though I'm not surprised. You had it in you all along." "Your gift," Sarah began, but Clint shook his head. "Money opens doors," he said softly, "but it takes courage to walk through them. You've done something far more valuable than just earning a degree, Sarah. You've shown Marcus, and everyone else, that it's never too late to rewrite your story." Sarah thought of the Stepping Stone Foundation, now helping its 10th family. She thought of the study group she'd formed for other parent-students, of the nights Marcus had sat beside her, doing his homework while she did hers. "There's something I want to show you," Sarah said, pulling out her phone. She showed Clint a photo of her new small accounting office, where his framed photo hung on the wall. "Someone once asked me why I keep your picture there." "And what did you tell them?" Clint asked, genuinely curious. Sarah smiled, tears glinting in her eyes. "I told them it reminds me that angels don't always have wings. Sometimes they wear cowboy hats and order burgers without onions." Clint laughed softly, the sound warm and genuine. "Keep telling your story, Sarah. The world needs to hear it." "I will," she promised, "but I've added my own ending. Every month I help one struggling parent with free financial planning. Because kindness shouldn't end with just one person." As they watched Marcus proudly showing Jane his latest math test, Sarah realized something profound. This wasn't just a story about a generous gift or a second chance. It was about the ripple effect of kindness, how one act of faith could spark a chain reaction of hope. Her father had always said dignity was worth more than dollars. But perhaps the greatest dignity lay in using our blessings to lift others up, in remembering that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is believe in someone else's dreams. And so Sarah's story continues, not just in her successful accounting practice or in Marcuse's growing achievements, but in every life touched by the Stepping Stone Foundation, in every parent who dares to dream again, in every reminder that it's never too late to begin anew. Because sometimes the most extraordinary stories begin with an ordinary evening in a simple diner where kindness transforms into magic.